So thank you very much for joining this session. So this is a new idea and we've called it Deep Dive Wednesdays. Essentially what they are, we go through one of the generators in more depth and hopefully you can pick up one or two things about it. So today's one is all about the multiple choice quiz generator, which I think is one of the most powerful generators. We're going to learn, of course, how to use the generator and take advantage out of it. But we're also going to explore the why multiple choice quizzes matter and why they work and how it integrates into teaching and learning. So for those that don't know me, my name is Isam. You just put an E before Sam, Isam, and I'm one of the directors at TeacherMatic. But I've spent over 20 years in further education and in the classroom as an IT lecturer, mainly teaching on the BTEC level 3 courses. And I really do have a passion for teaching and learning, and especially for using EdTech to improve teaching and learning and engage learners, and really important for me, reduce teacher workload. Part of my experience was I used to be an advanced practitioner, which meant I used to go and support teachers in improving teaching, learning, and assessment. So that's me in a nutshell. Today's presentation is unlocking learning with multiple choice quizzes. So let's go into the importance of multiple choice quizzes. So the research, as you probably know, says that these multiple choice quizzes will enhance retention and understanding. There's something called the testing effect, which implies that the act of retrieving information during a quiz helps in solidifying knowledge and improving recall. So quizzes are what we call low stake quizzes. And this refers to a method of assessment where students are given the opportunity to repeatedly make mistakes and potentially fail, all while learning from those mistakes from from minimal sort of penalty. They're very valuable low stake quizzes. And if you look at this diagram here that we have and look at the formative assessments. So formative assessments, as you probably all know, are regular informal assessments that lecturers use to evaluate students' level of understanding and inform their teaching strategy. These assessments help gather information to improve instruction and student comprehension in the moment. That's where formative assessment comes along. It's ongoing. And multiple choice quizzes really serve as a valuable tool for formative assessments because they provide quick feedback and support responsive teaching. So that's what's really important. These quizzes, and we're going to look at how to export a quiz to Microsoft Forms and Kahoot. They give you immediate feedback, which is really important because they address potential misconceptions developed in previous lessons or even the current lesson. And teachers can identify and respond to these misconceptions effectively, all right, as a whole group. So they're very, very effective, and they're very versatile because they can be used at different points in the lesson and throughout the whole of the learning process. Okay, they can, of course, be used, as we said, informative assessment, checking for learning, but also for summative assessment, the final evaluation. Okay, and of course, they can be carried out within the lesson and outside of the lesson. And things like Microsoft Forms, and I appreciate probably the majority of you probably use Microsoft Teams for Education and Microsoft Forms, but all of these other platforms, they offer, remarkable versatility. They really do, because you'll see that they're device agnostic. You can use them in different settings and things like that. So they're very versatile. And of course, as you'll know, that these tools will provide you with, lots of data. So for example, Microsoft Forms, it'll provide you with the analytics. The teacher can analyze the responses, identify trends, and adjust the teaching strategies, accordingly. So let's look at some more of this. So it's fantastic because regular quizzes provide constant feedback to both students and teachers, about the understanding and retention of the material. It's really important because it helps in identifying areas where students struggle and allows for timely interventions, right? That's why I think they're really important. For memory and retention, the regular retrieval practice involved in taking quizzes can improve memory and retention of course material, something known as the testing effect. It can engage and motivate the students because especially if they're gamified. I know we've got our critics with Kahoot and things like that, but it does sort of engage learners, especially after a heavy lunch. They come back after lunch, they've got no energy. One Kahoot quiz will boost that energy and they really do enjoy it. So as like forms and things like that, there's a systematic use of allowing you to track students' progress over time, which will help you adjust your teaching. And of course, preparation for exams is really, really important. And we know that the BTECs now have these exam components. So this is a fantastic way of preparing our students for those exams. And as I said, they're very versatile and device agnostic. Kahoot, Microsoft Forms, quizzes, they all work on phones, laptops, and tablets, which means this. It means that you don't need a room, an ICT room with lots of resources and computers. The teachers now can use it in any setting, in a workshop, in a classroom, and have the students use their mobile phones, which is, really good. So very, very good with that. Okay, so how do we integrate them into our lessons? Of course, we can use them as starter activities, sometimes known as warm-up activities, right? And the idea behind the starter activities is, first of all, maybe to so we get students that come in late for the lessons. So starter activity is really good because you don't want to start the main bulk of the lesson. So you might have a starter activity, but it's also there to engage them from the outset and prepare them for learning. So it's there really to activate, your learners' minds. Okay. So it sets a positive tone for the lesson. You can revisit prior lessons and knowledge, and you can create a bridge to the current lesson, to new knowledge and content. Okay, so starter activities are really important, and using quizzes as that is absolutely a good way to start the lesson. Plenaries, so they're used to review the effectiveness of lesson objectives and consolidate learning, and plenaries don't necessarily happen at the end of the lesson, right? They can be made up of mini plenaries, so they can, throughout the whole of the lesson. So this is supposed to inform future practice by identifying what worked well and any gaps in learning that may need revisiting. So as I was saying, it's, really good for starter activities and plenaries, sometimes called exit tickets in the United States. But as I said, they don't have to be, they could be consisting of mini plenaries throughout the whole of the lesson. Okay, let's move on. So effective use of multiple choice quizzes. So of course, quizzes should complement other assessment methods, and in the following slide we'll briefly look at them. But in order to create a really good multiple choice quiz, you need to craft quizzes that require higher order thinking, in the Bloom's taxonomy, like analyzing, evaluating, or applying knowledge, or application. And it's really, really important also that when you do the quiz, the teacher discusses the responses and sees where there's gaps in learning, and then you can have a discussion based on those results, especially where you find the students are not able to answer correctly in one area. And as Ofsted has said and mentioned, you need to link the plenaries to wider implications and future learning. So in this slide, we say embrace diversity in terms of assessment. So obviously there should be other forms of assessment where appropriate. essays and written responses, presentations and projects, which is probably a bit more AI resilient than now the essays and the written responses, practical assessments and peer assessment and self-reflection, which is, I think, an underutilized strategy that I think really does tick the boxes in Bloom's taxonomy, the higher end of the spectrum. Okay, so most of you will be, I'm assuming, by the way, do let me know in the chat pane and say no, I'm not, but I'm assuming most of you are Microsoft Teams for Education. Okay, most of you, probably 90% of you, if I'm not mistaken, I probably am, but maybe. So, but we will look at Kahoot and other platforms, by the way. But the advantage of using Microsoft Forms is that there's a seamless integration with, you know, assignments. I think one of the biggest advantages of probably exporting the TeacherMatic generator to Forms is the authentication and the integrity. Because the students will log in with their accounts to access the quizzes, it's all logged. Whereas as opposed to Kahoot and quizzes, you're not going to, you can get the students to create any nicknames, and it's not, yeah, they could create any name. And that's the issue. And obviously there are data security and compliance sort of advantages of probably using Microsoft Forms. Okay, but if you're not a Microsoft Teams organization, then ignore what I'm saying. But also, I think one advantage, and we're going to look at it, is that when you integrate Microsoft Forms in an assignment in Teams, you can differentiate that quiz and you can send that quiz to certain students. So using our generator and the complexity slider, you can create quizzes, differentiated quizzes, and then use Teams to target those students, all within minutes, which is really, really powerful. So with that being said, let's have a look at the generator itself. All right, so you're going to be pleasantly surprised and see that we've made some improvements here with our interface only in the last day. Okay, so we've got favorites here, and you'll see these things here, these filters. So now I can filter more than one area. So I can say in class and in planning. Okay, but that's for another day. So what we're going to do is just click on all generators, and I'm going to search for multiple. And then it's a really good idea that if you're going to use this generator and keep revisiting it, is to favoritize it. Okay, so I'm going to favoritize that. And then what's really new, and I really like this feature, is that we've got a new favorites section. So when I click on favorites, I get all my favorites here. So obviously you can access your favorites from here, but in a tidier place, you can access it also from here. So I'm going to click on the multiple choice questions generator, and it's one of our most widely used generators here. So of course we can put keywords, and I am going to put some keywords, and I can click on generate, and it will generate a quiz based on those keywords. Okay, as easy as that. But of course, in order to get more quality output, it's important to put, perhaps, you know, be more specific. You could have wrote here for 16-year-olds, for 9-year-olds, and you'll get better content. Okay, so that's fine. We can also upload a file. That's a Word or PDF. And if you're using our lesson plan generator, you can export that as a PDF or a Word document, save it locally, and upload it to this generator, which would mean it will create a quiz based on that lesson plan. That's a really sort of smart way creating quizzes on that. But in future, we're going to have something called meta generators, where if you create a lesson plan, you'll be able to go and create other resources around that lesson plan. Okay, that'd be really exciting. So you can upload something, but what's really exciting here is that you can point it to a YouTube video. Did anyone know that? It's about 3 weeks old. Okay, so if we look at the this video here, we're going to get this title of the video. We're going to get this URL, and then in here we're going to put that as a URL. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on regenerate, and we'll open up this discussion for later on. And then so the last 15 minutes or 10 minutes should be for an open Q&A. So what this will do is it will generate a quiz based on this YouTube video, which I think is just a fantastic feature here. Normally takes like a few seconds longer than the normal keywords. And then what we're going to do is we are going to go to Microsoft Forms. I know, I appreciate some of you are not Forms. We'll do a Kahoot one also. Okay, and let's see. So it's done it now. So there's your quiz based on this YouTube video. You can easily, so I'm going to save that. Okay, I'll save it as a Word document. I'll click on Save As. Let's put it on our desktop in a new folder, and I'll call it Deep so I know where to go, and just click on Save. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to reduce the complexity and make it simpler. And this way I'm going to target some of the students that need support there. Okay, so the quiz that we will produce should be easier to complete. I could even do much higher, by the way. So the really advanced students, I can create a quiz there for them too. So we can differentiate in matter of minutes now. So while it's doing that, because we don't have time, I'm just going to show you how to import a Word document into Microsoft Forms and create a quiz in seconds. Okay, so we're just going to click on Quick Import, Upload from Device, navigate to our folder, which is Deep here. Double click on this Word document and click on Quiz. And as easy as that, in a few seconds, we're going to have a quiz inside Microsoft Forms, as you can see here. Obviously, AI is not always correct, so you do need to use your professional judgment to critically evaluate the answers here. And it's very easy. Just click on the question and then you can add or you can amend the answers here. Very, very easy to do that. I'm going to take this a step further. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click here and I'm going to add a new question. And in this question, it's going to be text. And I'm going to say, summarize this video in 200 words. Okay, I'm going to make it a long answer so they can type it in there. And why I'm going to do that is because I'm going to click on this icon here. When I click on this icon, I've got the ability to insert a video. So why not insert the video that we use for this quiz? So let's insert that video there. Click on Add. And now I have a video and the quiz related to that. Okay, so if we now jump back to the quiz, we've got a simpler quiz, by the way. Look how it looks much simpler. So I'm just going to export that as a Word. Click on Save, and then here I'm just going to call it Easy. Oops. So now we've got two quizzes in there, so we can do the same thing. But here is where the magic happens. I'm just going to go to Teams. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go and create a new assignment. Okay, so in the new assignment, I'm going to create and then a new quiz. And then you can see there's my quiz here. And I'm going to attach that here. So this is where the magic of differentiation happens. On the right hand side, and I'm sure you've got that in Google and also in your virtual learning environments, I can click on all current students and I can do individual students. And now I can select the students where this is aimed at. and then just as easy as that, click on assign. And now there they are assigned this quiz over here with a video, by the way. So if we look at that, this is what the student will see. And as soon as they answer that, that will feed into the back end with all that data analytics. Okay, so that's as easy as that. And then because we created another quiz and we saved that, we could do exactly the same and then use that quiz for some of the students that, you know, need extra support or need an easier quiz. So with that being said, let's jump to Kahoot because we only got a few minutes. So this is Kahoot. So what we need to do now is with this one, we're going to export this as Kahoot. So you can easily do quizzes and some of these other platforms. So I'm going to export as a Kahoot, click on save as, and just save it here. Okay, as easy as that. Obviously, you need a Kahoot account. When you've logged into Kahoot, on the top right, you're going to see create. So you're going to click on create, click on Kahoot, and then over here is we're going to click on blank canvas. And when we click on blank canvas, we need to add a question. And when we add a question, you've got the ability to import a spreadsheet. And we've taken care of all the formatting and all the timing and everything else. So we're just going to click on select file here. We're going to navigate to our folder and our file and double click there and just upload. And then it says 10 questions have been imported. We add the questions. We'll do a preview. And now we have our questions without the images. Obviously, you should go and add images there. So that is the Kahoot, and that's the same principle with quizzes and some of the other platforms there. And I'm exactly on time. How wonderful is that? So I'm going to stop it right there. And for the next 10-15 minutes, we're going to open it up for Q&A.